everyone, and welcome to another Americans for Limited Government live stream. We're so happy you joined us today. We have a very special program today. We have a campaign we have just launched called defundthemandates.com. We're going to explain to you in how 60 seconds you can send an email to every member of Congress and every U.S. senator demanding that they defund the Biden unconstitutional vaccine mandates. So, Rick, welcome. Tell us about this campaign and why is this so critical that we take action now?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Yeah, this is really important for a very simple reason. Congress is in the process of funding the government. There's going to be a short-term deal that's cut probably the next day. Which will then make the final funding deadline March 11th. We need to put the members of Congress on notice right now, while they're paying attention, right now, that the vaccine mandates must go. The vaccine mandates have to be defunded. Democrats are looking for an off-ramp. They're looking for a way to get out of the vaccine mandates, get out of this COVID disaster that Biden has led them into. They're in a box canyon and they are desperate to find an escape valve. The single best way to do that is by providing no uncertain terms to them and to the Republicans, that ending the vaccine mandates is the single best way for them to proceed so the country can return to normal. So what does that mean? It means very simple. We've got to defund the defund the mandates.com campaign that we want to get 1 million people to take action between now and Monday. We're already at 1.35 million total contacts in the Congress, but we need to take that and basically elevate it by 500 times. And that's where you guys come in. You know the drill on this. We've provided you with the URL, the www.defundthemandates.com. And it's up to you to do this. We have groups, all conservative groups all over America that are working on this. I've made presentations to 100 groups today alone on this. We have people from Charlie Kirk to a whole number of different people have pushed this on Twitter, pushed this through various social media channels they have. So this is really becoming a conservative wide movement that Americans for Limited Government is leading. And this is just very simple. We can, in fact, stop the vaccine mandates, but only if members of Congress on both sides of the aisle understand that the people want them ended. And this is not a half measure. This has to be full in, because the fact of the matter is the vaccine mandates are one of the greatest encroachments on individual liberty by the federal government in my lifetime. It's unbelievable they've gotten away with what they've gotten away with. And we need to stop it now. We have to restore the power back to the people and take the power away from the public bureaucrats who've taken it. And the best way to do that is to have the people you elected to Congress, the people you may not have voted for them, but your district or your state elected them, have them restore the power of the House of Representatives, the power of the Senate in terms of funding these regulations, and in this case, defunding the enforcement of those regulations.
And Rick, this campaign, we are working closely with Representative Chip Roy of Texas, who is leading the defund effort in the House, and in the Senate, it is being led by Senators Mike Lee of Utah and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. And I have a video clip of Senator Mike Lee that I'll share now. Senator Mike Lee has taken to the House floor 21 times with the same message each time: end the vaccine mandates. And so he's probably been one of the most eloquent and outspoken in the Senate on this. He certainly, with Senator Johnson, is leading the effort. So let me share a short clip. This was his most recent House or Senate floor speech. calling for an end to the vaccine mandates and to defund them. So we'll watch that.
These mandates, while currently being challenged in court in a number of jurisdictions, show the terrible power that even the threat of a vaccine mandate can wield. Businesses across the country are suspending, punishing, and firing employees who haven't had the COVID shot. The threat of the mandate is making it harder for everyday American families just to put food on the table, and to do so, moreover, in increasingly difficult economic times. Now, these are not our enemies. These are not people to be feared. These are not people to shun or loathe entirely, as the mandates seem to suggest. No, these are our friends and our neighbors. These are mothers and fathers. These are people who, like far too many Americans, are just struggling to get by. And I'm going to continue to fight for them, to protect them, because they understand something that President Biden has yet to accept, even though deep down I know he does know it. And that is, this isn't right. It's not right for him to do. It's not right constitutionally for about a dozen reasons. But it's also just not right morally. It's a morally unacceptable proposition to suggest that someone should get fired just because they don't conform to presidential medical orthodoxy. It's immoral to tell someone that their ability to put food on the table for their children depends on whether they get a shot that they may or may not want, a shot that may or may not conflict with their religious or sincerely held beliefs, that might be contraindicated by one or more conditions, resulting in their doctor advising them not to get the shot.
Okay, Rick, I'll cut it off there. So that was Senator Mike Lee. Again, I think he is one of the most eloquent members of the Senate on this issue. And we also will play a clip in just a little bit of Representative Chip Roy of Texas. He was just on this week with one of his local radio stations in Texas, explaining, why it is so critical that Congress defund this now. But tell us about the campaign that we have that is working to support Senator Mike Lee and Chip Roy in the House and Senate.
Yeah, the Defund the Mandates campaign. And let me be clear. The reason it says mandates is because there are actually 5 mandates that exist that we can count. Maybe there's more, but there's 5 that are obvious. One is the mandate on our soldiers, our sailors, our airmen, our Marines to get the shot. We're seeing a lot of reports out of the Pentagon about real negative consequences of them being forced to get the vaccine. But once again, freedom of religion, religious choice is being completely thrown out the window and being disregarded at the DOD. And we have to stop the mandate on the Defense Department. We have to stop the mandate on the federal workers. The federal workers it's astonishing to me, but a lot of federal workers are very, very, very reticent and are scared to death they're going to lose their jobs. And, quite honestly, we need to talk about the federal workforce as a whole on another issue. But the fact of the matter is these are people who are being denied their personal liberties, and they need to be protected. We need to end that mandate. We need to end the mandate on government contractors who've been told by the Biden administration that you either impose a vaccine mandate on your employees or you can't get a government contract. This affects millions upon millions of workers across America. We need to end the mandate on our healthcare workers, where we're seeing healthcare workers across the country be denied their ability to work. People who were called heroes a year ago are now being zeroed out because they don't want to get the vaccine for one reason or another. And and the most amazing, and of course we're talking the OSHA mandate, which the Supreme Court said that they viewed as being potentially unconstitutional. But the best way to take this out of the court's hands is for the Congress to say, no, we're not funding it. You can't enforce it no matter what. That's the definitive way to do this rather than let it go through and finish up in the courts. So those are the 5 mandates. And ultimately, we know that 50 senators, 50 Republican senators, all 50 Republican senators, mind you, voted against saying they oppose the vaccine mandate. The problem was what the bill they voted on didn't have any effect on the vaccine mandate. What we need are 41 members of the Senate to say, we're not going to vote for a government funding bill that includes the vaccine mandate. Because it's one thing to vote that you don't like it on a bill you know is going to have no effect. What's relevant is how you vote on the bills that actually can stop the vaccine mandate.
And Rick, when is that vote? It already happened in the House, is that right? And now it's expected in the Senate. Do we have a date or?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a little confusing, but the Senate is going to pass a continuing resolution that will move the date of when the government funding comes to an end from February 18th to March 11th. And so we are really looking at a time frame of between now and March 11th.
Okay.
When we're going to be doing this. And the objective right now, while the funding bills are on everybody's minds, is to overwhelm these politicians with emails from all across the country, from a million people, a million individuals across the country saying, defund the mandates. It's very simple.
And Rick, it's really easy. I'll get to Andrea's question in just a minute. We will have Rick address that. But let me go back to our banner here just a minute, Andrea. Defund the mandates. I did it. You can do it in less than 60 seconds. It's a very short note that you send to every U.S. senator, every member of Congress. And it's just a paragraph, and you have to put your name, and it'll ask for your address. And it was one of the easiest things I've ever done in terms of a communication. So I think that if you have 60 seconds, you can hop on your computer, go to defundthemandates.com. It'll ask for your name, your address, your phone number. And that way it can make sure that your members are getting, right, that they're targeted. They know who you are. You're in their district. It was super easy, and it's not an aggressive tone. It's a very friendly written email. In fact, I can pull it up for us here just a second, Rick. I will walk us through it. Just a moment. Let me share my screen, and then people can see what it looks like when they go to the website. So stand by, folks. I'll get that screen up. Okay, so you should be seeing the same screen I'm looking at. Defund Biden's vaccine mandate, stop tyranny. And then you click the take action now. Okay, so you're going to ask, you've done this before, you know how it works. Let's see if I can show you. No, it won't let me continue unless I put in all my information.
Well, I'll just look at the statement that we put out, just a few preceding the notification that we sent around for this.
Let me pull up our press release because I do have that language in there. So stand by and you'll see exactly.
I've got it, Kat. What it says is, please stop the Biden vaccine mandates by voting against any government funding bill, which includes money to enforce those intrusions into Americans' basic liberties. A vote for funding the government, which does not stop the vaccine mandates, is a vote for the vaccine mandates. I am counting on you. Thank you. So that's a very straightforward message. It's clear, it's understandable, it's not demanding in any way, but it's being, with no uncertain terms, we're letting people know, these senators and these House members know what the expectation is. And, clarity in terms of what the expectation is the key to communication. And it does that. And I'm a little bit biased because I wrote it, but it's but let's just be clear. Tuesday night, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to shift the game? And I'd been talking to a number of people during the day about it, and really was kind of frustrated a little bit. And I decided to try something with this campaign. It's a little bit different than other ones we've done. And we used a different platform for a very specific reason, because I knew a lot of other groups would join in if I used a platform that was kind of a neutral platform that wasn't going through my website or through somebody else's website, but was just something we were using and we're all familiar with. And so I really built this with the idea of lots of other groups participating. And that's what's happening. We're seeing groups across America spreading the word on this. And right now, this is the time. And the reason it's the time is because, and this goes to the point for Andrea's point, the CDC has said and has acknowledged, we now know that they finally admitted natural immunity exists, and that natural immunity actually is better than having a vaccine. So that's what the CDC has now said. It takes away the entire argument for a vaccine mandate. Certainly, it just destroys the argument for a vaccine mandate. So right now, the science says a vaccine mandate is unnecessary. The science says natural immunity counts, and natural immunity is actually better. So we have that right now that's just come out. We have the Johns Hopkins study that came out last week, which showed that masks and social distancing have a negligible effect, have had a negligible effect, a very small 0.2% effect in terms of stopping the virus. And so once again, the science is showing that the 2-year policy of Anthony Fauci really didn't do much except for disrupt people's lives, cost them their jobs, and destroy our economy over a period of time. And oh, by the way, it cost us about $5.6 trillion in spending to try to get ourselves back off the mat from it. So their idea, the CDC, the Dr. Fauci's of the world, they were wrong, and everybody's being to notice. Third, the polling is collapsing on the Democrats on this. Joe Biden is in the dumps. They are looking at an election cycle, which is a disaster for them, and they're desperately trying to find a way to not have this hung around their neck. And so maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to actually, by jamming so many emails, so many people telling them, stop this madness, that they will sit there and say, this is my way out. And we'll be able to get bipartisan support for defunding the vaccine mandate.
Rick, I want to play a clip of Representative Chip Roy. I'd like to play a clip of Representative Chip Roy. This is an audio clip. He gave an interview with a Texas radio station talking about efforts in the House to defund Biden's vax mandates.
In San Antonio, who are still facing discharge, and these mandates that stay in place are healthcare workers. I mean, we act like this is over, but just yesterday I got somebody forwarding me an email from MD Anderson saying that this doctor, nurse, healthcare worker is going to lose their job for not believing it's in their interest to get a vaccine.
Ridiculous.
So,
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And frankly, I am appalled, embarrassed at my Republican colleagues, 51 of whom in the United States House of Representatives, 51 of your 212 Republicans, voted yesterday for the continuing resolution to fund government that's continuing to enforce the CMS mandates against healthcare workers, the military mandates against our men and women in uniform, and by the way, the federal worker mandates against Border Patrol. So you have our faithful servants who are facing losing their job or have already lost their job because we won't stand up and fight. Republicans have got to find a backbone, or they're not going to be given power in November. And then our country will continue to get shellacked because we're allowing these authoritarians to run our lives.
You know,
Rick, I think that Chip Roy is exactly right. It was a huge disappointment. And I know you were telling me earlier this week that we had 51 Republicans in the House. We have 212 Republicans total. So that's almost, what is that? 1 in 4 of the Republicans in the House voted for a spending bill that has vax mandate funding in place. So that's a huge disappointment.
Yeah, it really is, but it's not unexpected. You know, this was a kick the can bill, meaning they were going to basically, they're pushing the fights off until 3-4 weeks from now on March 11th. But it's a wake up call because we now know kind of where we stand. We know who's willing to say at least no on the bill, on a continuing resolution. Now we have to translate that into voting no on the vax mandates and force a specific vote on it in the Senate, or maybe the House. So you have to beat the speaker on that. It's really hard to do. But but in that Senate, there's 2 men who are negotiating the omnibus for March 11. Richard Shelby from Alabama, who's retiring, and Pat Leahy from Vermont, who's retiring. Those are the 2 who are negotiating this. And what we have to do is we have to get 41 senators to go to those 2 and say, you have no bill. You don't have the votes to pass the bill unless if it's funding the vaccine mandates. And by burying the senators with emails, by creating an avalanche of emails over this weekend into their offices so their inboxes are just destroyed, by doing that, it sends a wake-up call that says, wait a second, maybe we need to do this. And so then the things we do in a follow-up will have fertile ground to fall upon. The things that Mike Lee is doing, the things that Ron Johnson's doing, the things that Ted Cruz is doing, the things that we're seeing Rand Paul do, is going to have a fertile ground for people to say, wait a second, I'm with you guys, and I voted this way. And we have to essentially get in the Senate 80%, 82% of the Republicans who said they opposed vaccine mandates to now vote like they want them to end. And if we don't have to convince people that they're bad, fortunately, we only have to convince them that the courage to stand up and say, I won't vote to fund them. And courage in Washington, D.C. comes in small doses. Those doses are given by constituents, by people contacting them, by people saying, letting them know that this is important. Courage comes from back home. And that's why every single one of you can make a difference by signing the defundthemandates.com. Remember, there's an S, it's mandates.com. Signing that, but also sharing it. You know, 60 seconds to sign it, another 60 seconds to share it. And this has to be a snowball. We're at 1.35 million emails sent at this juncture. We need to escalate that dramatically, and we can. We are going to create a firefight on this. We're going to have a fist fight. We're going to get into the brawl, but we need to have you in the arena also, because together we cannot lose. But if we go in there and we don't have a massive outpouring from back home, we don't have a chance. We'll get slaughtered, and it's and America's freedoms will be slaughtered. So
one of my favorite sayings, and I think it was President Truman who said this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but politicians, once they feel the heat, they see the light. Was that Truman?
Yeah, I think it was.
So once they feel the heat, like that means we need to get those emails out to them. When they feel the heat, they will see the light and they will do the right thing. That's one of my favorite sayings from my time on the Hill. My boss at the time used to, use that one all the time to talk about how politicians could really be impacted by their.
You were on the Hill not too long ago, maybe within the last 10 years. Do politicians still care about constituent input?
They absolutely do, Rick. 100% they do. There's no question. I mean, and that gets back to your point of why we're seeing some of these mask mandates and other COVID restrictions start to go away in the blue states, these Democrat governors, New Jersey, Delaware, Illinois, California is even dropping some of their mandates because they're reading the polling numbers. Their constituents are telling them we've had enough. And I think that the people on Capitol Hill need to also feel that heat because under our federalist system, a lot of these mandates and restrictions are being imposed by the governors, by local school boards, and Congress has kind of tried to stay a little bit out of it. And like, again, that their role is to be removed because these restrictions happen at the local and the state level. But Congress does have a role. They are funding these vax mandates. So that's why it's so critical that they feel the heat and know that we do not support these federally funded vaccine mandates for the Biden administration. So that's the role that our House and Senate has in all this. So we're asking people over the next 3 days, or do it right now, but by Monday, we want to have 1 million Americans sending in an email to their congressmen and their senators saying, stop the vax mandate funding, defund it.
Yeah, I would ask people to do it right now because, I know when I intend to do something and I get away, I say I'll put it off for 30 minutes and next thing you know, it's an hour and next thing you know, it's tomorrow. And next thing you know, I'm doing laundry or something and it doesn't ever happen. And what's more, if you do it right now and you share it on Facebook, you share it through Twitter, you share it to your contacts and your email list, just the simple URL, defundthemandates.com. When you share that to your friends and say, hey, please join me in this, by doing it now, you give them a chance to act. You give them a chance to share it with their friends. You give a chance for this to mushroom out and to really take hold, because we know there are tens of millions, hundreds of millions. We know there's a huge number of Americans who want these vaccine mandates to go away. Some have been vaccinated, others haven't, but they know there's something that's wrong to fire people for not having gotten the vaccine. They know that. We know that, and we know that's true because the politicians are now kind of on the left are caving on supporting Biden on this stuff. We know that because suddenly Anthony Fauci's discovered that natural immunity exists again. So we know that the polling's bad for the left on this, and that means they're more willing to allow something like this to go through rather than to fight tooth and nail to stop it. The challenge is we have to get the Republicans to go and say we're willing to fight on it. And we want to give every email that gets sent gives Mike Lee one more bit of a tool, one more bit of power in trying to say to people, folks, join me. Let's do the right thing. Let's defund the vaccine mandates. That's the thing we're doing here. We're empowering the members of the Senate who are fighting on our side, so they have the ability to talk to a member of the Senate who says, I'm getting buried on this. What should I do? And they're going to be there to give them the answer. This is really a team effort, an inside-outside effort. Mike Lee's staff knows we're doing this. Mike Lee knows we're doing this. We got a text from him yesterday on it. He knows we're doing this. And Chip Roy knows we're doing this. I communicate with him regularly on this. So they know what's going on. They know what's coming into their office, and they know what's coming into everybody else's office. And so let's just give them the help that they need to do their job to protect America, because they're the ones who are going to have to do the hard work on the Hill, getting their colleagues to do the right thing. Our job is to make it so it's easier for their colleagues to say yes. And that's what this is about. Let's get the senators and the House members to yes. So when Chip Roy goes to his House colleagues, they say, yes, Chip, we got to get on this. When Mike Lee goes to his Senate colleagues, they say, Mike, how can I help? That's what we need to have happen. That's what we're doing. That's what this 4-day push is all about. And if we get 1 million people to take action on this, we will make this such a hot issue on Capitol Hill that they will not be able to escape dealing with it. And when that occurs, remember, there's 50 Republicans who said they agree that the vax mandates were wrong. And now it's just a matter of giving them the political will to do the right thing. And your taking action is providing that political will.
Go to defundthemandates.com. I've also put the link in the comment section or in the description if you're on YouTube or Rumble. If you're on Facebook, it's in the comments section. It's very easy to remember. Defundthemandates.com. It's right there on the screen. And you're looking at what that landing page looks like. Just click take action, take 60 seconds. You will send an email to every U.S. Senator, every member of Congress, and then share this email with your friends and help us reach our goal of getting 1 million Americans to fill out this form, send the short email to our elected officials in Washington. As Rick said earlier, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, they're going to be looking at this critical must-pass funding bill to keep the government operating. And right now, that bill contains funding to enforce Biden's unconstitutional vaccine mandates. We want to flood the email boxes of all of our members of Congress with our emails telling them to defund, just strip that out of any funding bill that they're going to be voting on over the next few weeks. And Rick, I'll let you have the last word today before we close it out.
Yeah, first of all, I'm humbled by everybody who's taken action on this, everybody who's stuck their neck out, everybody who's contacted their members of Congress, everybody who's really put their livelihoods on the line because saying no. Everybody who's out there is fighting to try to get their kids out of masks so they can go back into a learning environment and not be essentially depersonalized through the requirements to go to public school. It's really an honor to be able to work with you guys and to try to provide you the tools necessary to win. Andrea, in terms of the masks, one of the things we know is a state like Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia, where a Republican governor won, he said, masks are optional. A number of the school boards, particularly in the urban areas, said, no, we're going to continue forcing masks. And so he got bipartisan support in the Senate, which is majority by one vote, majority Democrat. He got the House of Delegates, which Americans for Limited Government played a huge role in flipping to being Republican in the last election. He got them to write a law and say, you can't mandate masks and make it so the local school boards couldn't mandate masks, and got that done. So all the court challenges went away. And now those school boards will be in violation of law, no doubt about it, if they continue to try to enforce mask mandates. The fact is, when we keep pressing forward on these issues, eventually the dam breaks and we win. And that's what's happened in Virginia. And that's what can happen on Capitol Hill. That's what should happen on Capitol Hill. And you guys are the ones who are making it happen. Just keep spreading the word and making it happen. And I'm just so proud to be in a position where I can provide a little bit of help and guidance in how to get this done. And with that, I just thank you, and we will talk to you next time.
All right. Go to defundthemandates.com. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We're happy to have you here. And we will see you next time on an Americans for Limited Government live stream.